all of us know once summertime gets here, dealing with cutting grass and leaves and things from the fall and the winter, and then just the thatch that's left over after you cut your grass, nobody likes it. You know, if you look at my property, I can't stand a bunch of thick thatch after I've cut the grass. It doesn't make the yard look nice. You know what I'm saying? So I found this yard sweeper on Amazon, and I'm telling you, I'm pretty excited about it. So initially, I'm just going to put it together. I'm going to show you guys how this thing goes together, and then we're going to actually show it in action. I don't know if you can see it, but that little section of grass over there that I didn't cut yesterday, we're going to cut that, and I'm going to show you, because right now we're almost in June, and there's not a lot of leaves on the ground, but I'm going to show you just how well I believe this sweeper is going to sweep up all that dead grass so your yard can remain healthy and alive. Let's get started. First thing is we're going to cut these straps off. Razor blade's kind of dull. Now this should be fairly easy to put together, but again, hang with me. We're going to do it together, so once you order one, you won't have any issues putting it together. So I had one of these a long time ago, and when I moved, I never replaced it. Let's see what comes in the box. So inside the box, and this is going to be part of your frame to keep your grass catcher stable. And this is the heaviest part. This is your actual sweeper. I would say this probably weighs about 30 pounds. And this is your catcher here. And all the hardware that comes with it. And again, don't be intimidated, guys. A lot of this stuff is not hard to put together. And these are your hopper support rods. So you're going to put all these things in place. And here is your bag of hardware. So one thing you got to remember, the instructions are going to break everything down to you. So I'm going to read the instructions and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do. So the first thing you need to do is you need to assemble the RH hitch tube to the sweeper housing, which is this part right here. And it tells you the part numbers. Every part is labeled, so this should be super easy for you. And if you're not sure, look at the numbers on the instructions. These have letters to identify them. And even in your manual, it has all the parts labeled. So this should take you a little bit of time, but it should be super easy to put together. Now, one thing you do want to do is you want to be careful with these parts. I'm out here working in the yard, so you don't want to lose. And I've already dropped one, and I don't even know where it went. Here it is. So you probably want to do this in an area where you're not dealing with grass. I'm just doing it outside because I'm getting ready to show you how this actually works. So again, the directions will show you. So you need a bolt, a nut, and a washer. And it will actually tell you, because like I told you, they're all lettered so you know which ones you need. Just be careful not to lose any of the parts. And one thing I didn't mention, all these are numbered as well. So if you're not sure which number 1 is or what's number 2, it's right here on the item itself. So I'm glad I moved into the shade. It was hot over there. And I'll be honest with you, even though I love tools and gadgets, putting things together is not always the funnest. But the best part about it is once you're done, you're done. So as you can see here, I need part number 7 and part number 8. This even says right here, it says part number 7. And this will be part number 8, as you can see right there. So this is a sweeper housing assembly. This is number 9. That's what I'm saying. Everything is marked so you know exactly what it is. We'll take your washer, put it through here, put that through there. And then there is a nut that goes on the bottom that we're about to put on here. So when you first start tightening this, the instructions will tell you not to tighten everything down completely yet because you have to make everything fit. So, but you definitely will need a ratchet set. If you don't have a ratchet or a wrench that will fit a 10mm nut, and even get you some locking pliers or whatever to hold the nut while you ratchet it down. But again, when you're first starting, don't tighten anything. This part right here can be a little tricky, especially if you're doing it by yourself. If you have somebody that can kind of hold this part right here up while you're trying to get the nut on, it makes it a little bit easier. As you can see, I'm doing this by myself. It can be done, just makes it a little bit challenging. All right, we got one on. Now we need the bolt, we need the washer, and then you need the nut that goes on the bottom. Alright, so now that I got those two in place, I'm going to use my ratchet and my pliers to tighten it down just a little bit, but not completely. So I'm using these to hold onto the nut. While I ratchet this just a little further. And again, I'm going to come back and tighten these after I'm done. But right now, I'm just trying to get things semi-attached. I'm going to connect these two together. You need these particular bolts. Again, just follow the instructions. It'll tell you which bolts you need, what nut, and what size washer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to connect these two together here. Okay, so we have our hitch tubes on so that we can eventually hook this up to our mower. So from what you can see so far, this will actually get attached to your mower. So this bent part is going to go on top because this is how you're going to pull it. So this goes forward and then the other one goes on the bottom. This one through here, and also put the nut on there. And tighten those down so that your hitch lines up correctly. Let's get all this stuff. So once you get this together, you tighten everything down, and then you move on to starting assembling the frame for your bag, which will probably take a little bit of time, but then you'll be pretty much done, ready to use it. Like I said before, this isn't necessarily the fun part. But man, once you get this thing together and you get to using it, you'll be excited. The next step is going to be to put the adjustment height adapter for the sweeper. So if you look at your sweeper, there are 2 bolt holes right here for your frame. You can actually see them there. And all you want to do is you want to attach this adjustment handle to those using the bolt, the washer, and the nut that the instructions tell you to do so. You can put that in there. Put your washer on there. Put your nuts on. And then again, don't tighten everything down yet. Just get them started. Okay. Now that's on there. So once you get the angle bracket put on, which might take a little bit, remember, when you're looking at the instructions, you always want to orient the paper in the direction that you're working. Just makes it a lot easier. So in this case, as you can see here, you can see that I have this on. I have the angle bracket. The L portion is facing this way with the handle facing that direction. It just makes it a lot easier. And then you want to put your bolt through that way and then put your nut on this side. And then you just want to bolt it to the sweeper here. And then you have your adjustment, as you can see here. This will adjust the height of the sweeper. Tighten this where you want it. Stays. And then you can loosen it and you can adjust it up or down. Okay, so the next portion is going to be putting the basket together here. So we're going to move this out of the way. Also make sure you go back and you tighten all your bolts. I almost forgot to tighten these two. That's the only downfall about when they tell you not to tighten everything, because you got to have room to work. And then you go back and start to use it and you're like, why is this loose? And you realize you got bolts and nuts that you forgot to tighten. So just to keep from losing this, eventually once I hook it up to the lawnmower, this is going to be how you're going to do it. So I'm just going to put these in here in the middle. And these are spacers. That way we know where it's at. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to assemble the hopper bag, which is this black bag right here. You're going to put this in that sleeve there. So the one thing that you want to make sure you do is when you install this, you install it with these facing up, these holes here. So this is the rear hopper tube. And these are going to be your side tubes. Again, you want to follow the instructions. It'll tell you which screw and which nut you need. And all you do is feed it in the bottom there. Put your nut on. So make sure when you go to assemble this that you have a Phillips screwdriver. So I'm going to use my locking pliers to hold that still, and I'm going to screw this in. Once you have that assembled, you want to slide that in here. You'll notice there's these little loops in here, and you have to loop that in there. Now, there's going to be these support rods, so you want to make sure that these holes right here are facing down. As you remember, the other ones on the bottom were facing up, because there's going to be 2 support rods that's going to be able to, going to have to fit in these holes. So make sure when you feed this through that you have the holes at, so feed that through there. Feed that through there. There's several of them along the way, so just keep sliding it through each one, going all the way down. And this is what they use to support the basket or the catcher, so that it can catch all the grass and hold it until you can go dump it. And you'll see what I mean here once we get it up and going. Alright, now that we have this in, this is our support. And what's going to end up happening, that's going to go up here. As you can see, this is just going to fill up with grass. So eventually, once we get this connected, this will sit up like that. Now these support tubes, you may want to make sure they go back that direction with the angle down, not up, down. And there are some grooves right here on the side. You go in there, and then what they do is when they come through here on the side, they connect to that upper arm you just saw us put in. So it'll be like that, if that makes any sense. So then there's a couple of the same type of screws you got to put in. We're going to do that real quick. Again, you'll need your locking pliers and your Phillips head screwdriver. And again, guys, just to make sure you're following the instructions, this is not difficult at all. Make sure you look at the part numbers so you're using the right screws, the right bolts, the right nuts. Same thing with this one. Arms down, not up. So all I'm doing right here is I am putting that screw to hold these two framing bars together. Locking nut, and then you need a Phillips screwdriver to hold it still so it's good and tight, as you can see. Now that is attached to that. And then these will eventually get attached by cotter type pins right here on the sides. And then you have these support rods that go in between down here, like I was telling you about. Make sure you keep the holes where they needed to be. So these are hopper support rods. Let's see if we can get these in here. I'm probably jumping the gun a little bit, but okay. There's one there. So I'm gonna have to put a little bit of pressure on that one to keep it in place so it doesn't pop out. There we go. Now once we get these things strapped down, it should be okay. So they want you to use two 9.5 by 20 clevis pins. So you're looking for H and O. So you again look at your trusty sheet. H, I found them. They are the smaller pins. And then you have the O down here at the bottom. So it just recalls for two. And again, guys, don't lose any of these parts. I'm doing my best to try to not lose them here on the grass. And push it through. And it makes it nice and tight. And then you do the same thing on the other side. Alright, once you got it in, you got your clevis pins in. And then one thing I kind of read ahead a little bit, but they want you to snap your thing to the bottom there, as you can see. So we're going to use the snap here. It just snaps on. I'm probably going to come over to the second one here. Clevis pins. You got to remember there's different types of clevis pins. So again, guys, pay attention to the directions. If you look at these are skinnier and longer than the ones I just put here. So Again, as you can see, a couple more clevis pins right here to attach that. And then we're going to put our strap back on. I had to loosen it to give myself a little bit of wiggle room. So far, look at how sturdy this is. So the purpose of the rope is when you're pulling the mower, it allows you to pull this up so that you can dump the grass. So for the final assembly here, these are your final two pieces here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook up this to these. So you have 4 clevis pins left. These 2 long ones that are going to be for up here, and then you have these 2 short ones that are going to be where it connects here. Then you have 4 clevis pins, and then you have 4 washers that have to go in as well. And over here, and the last thing in this bag is your 4 washers. You take your small little clevis pin, you put it through here, and you do the same on the other side, but since we're on this side, we're going to stick right on this side. So right here, this is where you're going to attach using your 2 washers and your longer clevis pin here. So we're going to adjust this. We're going to find the hole. There should be a hole on this rod right here. And there is. We're going to go through there. And this takes a washer on each side of this pin. So you're going to put 1 washer here. You're going to put that on. You're going to put another washer. Then you're going to put your clevis pin. And you are good to go. And see, now it will pivot. So once you get it hooked up to your mower, what you're going to do here in a minute, and you're pulling it around, dump your grass out, and keep on rolling. Just make sure you take your time, you follow the directions, and you look at the pieces that they're telling you to use so that you use the right fittings. And then just remember the little nuggets as far as tightening things down when they tell you to tighten them and keeping them loose when they tell you to keep them loose. So let's hook this sucker up and let's see how it works together. So now I'm going to show you how it actually hooks up to your lawn tractor, your lawn mower. Most lawn mowers come with an attachment like this nowadays. So the way this works is you take out your cotter pin. These are just spacers. And what you do is you put that there, line up your holes. And again, this is what the spacers are for, just to for the pin. Slide your pin down through there, through the spacers, through your hole, and then put your cotter pin right there on the bottom. And you are good to go. And remember, I told you guys, when you're using this, you have this adjustment here. All you got to do is adjust the screw so that you can raise the blade. And what that does is it puts the blades or the brushes closer to the grass. Now, you'll have to play with this because what will happen is if you have it too low, you can almost cause a lot of friction and it'll drag. So you want to adjust it and get the height just right so that the wheels move freely. And also, if you're going to be using this a lot, in the manual that comes with this sweeper, it talks about how to grease and lubricate your wheels and your moving parts. So make sure that you guys are doing that. So remember to keep your rope in your hand or over your shoulder, because what will happen is if you let this thing drop, it will get wrapped around your wheel. I've had that happen with my old one, and you don't want that to happen. So keep this in your hand, and then we're going to show you how this thing works. Now for me, this is one thing that I'm not particularly crazy about. I would like the rope to be longer so I can keep it in my hand. I may actually try to extend that knot to make it longer. But if I'm sitting on the mower, I want to make sure I have it close enough to me so I don't lose this and it falls out of my hand and I don't realize it and it gets caught up around that wheel. I've had that happen and that is not fun. want to go back and finish cleaning up all this grass because I like my yard to look nice. But you can do this with grass. You can do this with leaves. You can see there's leaves in here. Like I told you earlier, we are way beyond leaf season, so there's not a lot of leaves. But I'm telling you guys, this thing works amazing, whether you're trying to clean up the grass or you're trying to clean up the leaves off your property. So click that link, check it out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And again, remember this little tip: keep the rope out of your way. So we're going to go dump it, and I'm going to show you how it dumps. See, it's all emptied out. Now, you may not have a property like this where you can dump it off on the side of a hill. Dump it in the same spot in your driveway, in your yard, put it in garbage bags or lawn bags and get rid of it. But I'm telling you, this is a convenient, easy way to clean up your property. This is a 42-inch sweeper. So again, as you can see, I've already dumped it out. It's clean and it's ready to make some more passes. Love you guys. Make sure you click that link. Check in the next one later.